And so now you're going tug of war against you and your family, and that's how your happiness begins to get all dismantled. Because remember I said 50% of your happiness starts in your genetics, and you have nothing to do with it. So that's why the church has such a strong hold on people and on us. It took me a while to break away from that stronghold, because traditionally I was born with be this way. Don't even attempt to think about being this way, but be this way. And so remember, 50% of my genetics determine my happiness. Off top. So remember, this is stuff you inherited from your parents. Now, what have they inherited from their parents? So you're fighting with stuff that was 3, 4, 5 generations, a long time ago. You fight with stuff back in slavery. So keep that in mind. You're fighting with slavery. You're fighting with the 60s, the 50s, the 70s, the 80s. You're fighting with all those things. You're trying to figure out why you're so unhappy. So now today we have discovered some of our happiness has gone to the genetics in our family and things that we inherited that we had nothing to do with. So we got that. Remember that. So these are things that you can do nothing about. Then on the next slide, our life circumstances, they influence our happiness level. Personal experiences, occupation, jobs, health, income, religious beliefs, being married, your age, your gender, geographical factors, all those things determine our happiness. What's the percentage on that? So now, life circumstances are 10%. So we got 50% went to genetics. Life circumstances are 10%. So you thought your job completed you. You thought your income completed you. You thought your boo completed you. You thought being a certain age completed you. That's only 10%. Your job is only 10% of what makes you happy. Keep in mind, you fight with that 50%, and your job is only 10%. Then your boo is 10%. So now it's starting to make sense. So now you're trying to figure out, now I see why I was so mad and angry, because I'm dealing with things that my family gave me a long time ago. It's nothing your boo did. This is stuff you got to deal with from the past. So that's why it's so important for us as black people, I can't speak for white people because I'm not white, but black people, to go and get some professional counseling. I cannot solve everything. I can't answer everything, but I can recommend you to a great psychologist or psychiatrist who can help you go through and deal with those 50%, those things that you were inherited with. So remember that. 50%, and then religious belief, you thought that church or that pastor had a stronghold on you. It's only 10%. And you gave him all that credit, him or her, all that credit. And they only control 10% of your happiness. But you give them 50 or 100. Some people would literally die for the pastor. I didn't say God. I said for the pastor. They would die for their church. I didn't say God. So all I'm saying is stop giving these people this type of control. So next, you have intentional activities. That's the next slide. That is 40% of your happiness. And so that's everything that you choose to do. So that including the way you react to your boo, that controls your happiness. That's 40% of your happiness. Matter of fact, the 40% right here is the cognitive and the behavior things that you do. So everything that we do, matter of fact, I think I'm going to do a study on this. I believe that's another reason that the STD rates and the HIV rates are so high, because we're dealing with 50% of things that was inherited, and then 10% of my life circumstances. So one thing in my life circumstances I can do can take my whole life away. So now I have to make the right choices now. So that's why that intentional activities is so important. You got to make the right choice because that's 40% right there. So 40 and then 10 is going to fight against your 50. So now we got 50 and 50 fighting. So that's why you have to make the right decisions in life. So you fight against family and you fight against your right decisions. So you have to make the right decision in life and try to do the right things. Because right here it says, human nature is evil and goodness is caused by intentional activities. And the intentional activities is based upon you. Because as we can see, human nature is evil. It is evil. But everything you do is goodness and is caused by you. So you have so much free will. It's ridiculous. But that one decision can mess it up. So that's why you should be patient, be wise, use your discerning spirit, your instincts, on these decisions we make in life. Because once again, this goodness is caused by intentional activities. And on the next slide, the question is, what can we change in order to boost our happiness in life? We know right now we cannot change our genetics. Things that were inherited, you can't change those. So 50% is in this other pot over here. You have nothing, you can't do nothing with that. But I got a whole nother 50 over here that I can work with. So remember that. Things that were inherited by your family, you can't do nothing about that. It is what it is. But I got this other 50, that 40 plus that 10, that I can do something with, that intentional activities. That's the big difference in our life. We have to be intentional for the good things that we want to do in life and things we want to accomplish. Go to the next slide. But right here, intentional activities. This can be manipulated by our background beliefs and our practices and our social conditions. So your intentional beliefs and activities can be influenced by those 50%. That's why we have another reason of a high epidemic of HIV and AIDS. We have men who are being shamed. For instance, you have the transgender who quote unquote exposed Bobby V this week. That's been all over the news. But he has to live in shame and sneak and creep because his genetics, things that he inherited, they told him, you better get with a woman and stay with a woman. Because being with a man is an abomination, you're going to hell, and God don't like that. They told him that. So that's why he's sneaking and creeping with the transgender woman. Because it has that big hold on him. And many of us have let that hold of our families and our religious beliefs control our lives and tell us, don't you do that. Mama done said this, and that's the way it is. And you better do it. And we did it, but it wasn't us. Our life was all screwed up because we were trying to satisfy things that were inherited and things that were passed down from generation to generation. That's why it's important for you to begin to seek knowledge, to research, to get to know you, to be happy. Because once you're happy, that 50% can't control you. That means you control yourself. You dictate your own decision because you have that free will. You can't live reckless. You can't live wild. But you have to live and be intentional in everything you do. Be intentional. Have a purpose for everything you do. So remember that. Our intentional activities are so important. As a matter of fact, it said what we do is 4 times important than our circumstances. As a matter of fact, it's 400% more. So we have to be very, very intentional on everything we do. You have to be intentional on getting your happiness. I don't care what it takes. Don't hurt nobody. Don't hurt yourself. But be intentional on being happy. Because you deserve to be happy. As a matter of fact, on this last one, I put life is good. Despite things that I have been raised to believe, despite the things that I have been scorned and laughed at and talked about, despite about all the obstacles in life, despite all the backstabbers, despite all the negative things that have happened, despite all the bills that we have, despite number 45 being in office making all these bad decisions, despite the climate change we have going on, despite the Memphis being number 4 in the nation in segregation cities in the nation, despite us having the number 1 STD rate in the state of Tennessee, despite us being number 3 in HIV and AIDS in the nation, life is still good. Life is still good. All those things I just said were bad things. But life is still good. It's still hope. We're still here. You know, so all I'm saying is, don't let the woes of life bring you down. Don't let those things dictate your happiness. I don't know why they happen. I have no idea. If I knew, I would be a billionaire. Well, the church is responsible for a lot. That's why it's important for us to be intentional about church. So you need to, yes. That's the genetics I was talking about, that 50%. So that's why it's important for you to be intentional, for you to meditate, for you to read, for you to research. I can't save you. You got to save you. I can take you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. This is your life. And you have to live it the way you want to live it. So I'm done with my presentation on the pursuit of happiness. Do you have any questions regarding the pursuit of happiness and reclaiming the time that you have lost fighting with genetics, fighting with friends, fighting with families, fighting on your job, just fighting, period. It's time out for that. It's time out. But do you have any questions regarding owning your happiness, being happy? That graph that I gave you, the 50% genetics, the 40% intentional activities, the 10% life circumstances.
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
I think even right now the church still are telling you, a lot of churches right here in Memphis saying you cannot be homosexual in that church. They put you out right now. They're doing it now.
They will.
If
You're right.
married, them you out.
They will.
But they take your money, but when time for you, we would make you happy, you out.
Well, so she said that my grandmother says a lot of churches in the city who do not accept individuals who identify as LGBTQ, and she's right. And that's why it's so important for individuals to learn to seek God for yourself. Because I don't know any man who's seen God before. I don't know any man who went to heaven and came back to give us a report. I don't know any man who went to hell who was homosexual, or a lesbian who went to hell for being homosexual. I don't know. I hadn't seen one. And so that's why it's important for you to get your own knowledge, for you to get your own personal relationship, for you to seek your own understanding on all levels.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that these preachers, everybody they around the pastor say, if you're not reading for themselves, why is the preacher telling me if you are gay or homosexual, whatever, you are going to hell?
Genetic set point. People are easily influenced by that tradition, embedded theology. This stuff is having a hold on us. Especially, I can't speak for white people. I speak for black people. It has a hold on black people. Religion is a strong tool. It's a strong mechanism that's in place.
So why in the church, why do people read the King James Bible if they eat that female love?
Some churches read it. Some churches do not read it. Tradition. Tradition.
Yeah, I read what he eat that female love.
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, men loving men has been in existence since the beginning of time. Women loving women, concubines, sex, orgies, all it's been in the beginning of time. It hadn't started in 1990 or 2017. It's been going on. Just in case you all didn't know. It's nothing new under the sun, put it that way. Anything else? Well, I'm done. My name is Dr. Davin Clemons, and this is my report on the pursuit of happiness. But I want you to really focus on owning your own happiness. Point blank. I don't care what it takes. It has to be positive, productive, impactful, intentional. But whatever you